Good evening, everyone. Today is Tuesday, May 26th. It's a regularly scheduled City Council meeting. Could we all please rise and begin the council meeting with a prayer? Dear God, today as this session opens, we pray that your presence will be before us and everyone who serves in the decision-making process of our city. We pray for direction which will lead our city to be strong and unified. May we continue the legacy of our founders. May we be granted this day the wisdom to make decisions which will be for the good of our city. We also pray for your special blessing on all those who are working to transform our city to make it a better place to live and work. Amen. Could we now please salute our flag? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Would the clerk please call the roll?
Council Rourke. Here. Council Samaras.
Here.
Council Belanger.
Here.
Mayor Elliott.
Here.
Council Kennedy.
Here.
Council Leahy.
Here.
Council Martin.
Here.
Council Mercia.
Here.
Council Milanazzo.
Here.
That's 9 present.
Before we begin the regularly scheduled agenda, Clerk, I'd like to recognize Council Mercia and then Council Milanazzo for a moment of silence.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. In my excitement to get back to work last week, I inadvertently overlooked a very important moment of silence for a remarkable human being. So at this time, I'd like to offer a moment of silence in darkened chamber for Norman Sayer, Sr., a resident of Christian Hill neighborhood in the Centerville section of the city. He was the beloved husband of Mildred Betty Sayer, with whom he would have celebrated 65-year wedding anniversary on April 9th. Norman was a graduate of Lowell High School. He enlisted with the United States Navy in 1943 and served during World War II until his honorable discharge in 1946. Norman served the city of Lowell as a firefighter stationed at the JFK Civic Center station, retiring in 1989. He was a board member of the Lowell Firefighters Credit Union and a member of the Retired Firefighters Association. Norman was a communicant of St. Michael's Church and a member of the Holy Name Society. In addition to his beloved wife, Betty, he leaves 3 sons, Norman Jr., James, and David, and 9 grandchildren. We offer our sympathy to his family, relatives, and many friends. He was a remarkable gentleman, and he will be truly missed. Thank you.
Thank you, Council. Council Milanazzo.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I, too, would like to offer a moment of silence in darkened chambers for Raymond Riddick, who passed away on Sunday, May 24th. Ray was a devoted husband, father, brother, uncle, brother-in-law, friend. He was also a past member of the Lowell School Committee. Ray's son of the late legendary football coach Ray Riddick and the late Marjorie Riddick. He was the husband of Roseanne Riddick, former assistant city manager here in Lowell under City Manager Campbell. And he was also the beloved father of Sage, his daughter. Ray is also the brother of Marjorie Miller and Betty Dick. He was actually quite accomplished. He graduated from Yale University, then went on to the Wharton School of Business at Penn, and he was a very successful and accomplished businessman. He actually had relocated to California for a number of years, but then wanted to come back and make sure that Sage was surrounded by her large, loving family. So they relocated back to the area, and he was involved in many businesses. He was also formerly the executive director of the Greater Lowell Community Foundation. But overall, he was a loving father, a husband, friend, and he will be truly missed. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Council Milanazzo. Anything further? Could we all please rise for a moment of silence, and could we darken the chambers? May they both rest in peace. I'd like to begin the agenda. Under the city clerk, we have minutes of the city council meeting of May 19th for acceptance. Motion to accept by Council Samaras, second by Council Milanazzo. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Minutes are accepted and placed on file. We have a general public hearing scheduled for 7 o'clock. We will skip that till 7 o'clock. Moving on to communications from the city manager, we have motion responses. There are 2 motion responses. We'll begin with motion response A, Quarter 1, 2015, motion response tracking informational reports. Any questions for the manager on motion response A? Seeing none, we'll move on to motion response B, informational, Lowell and snowstat. Questions from the manager on those? Councilor Samaras.
Thank you, Mary Elliott. To the city manager, the sample of snow plowing removal requests, when you look at the diagram that was given, it's almost half of it covers Centerville. Any specific reason why Centerville was in such demand or request for snow removal?
Mr. Manager?
Yes, could I just ask DPW Commissioner, Mr. Snow, to come up? I think it has to do with the number of small streets, and could you just explain?
All right, it's larger than some of the other small, there are many areas like that in the city, but you say Centerville's a much larger area?
Well, I guess I can't compare the different areas as far as the acreage goes, but I just know that there's a lot of narrow streets in Centerville, and those are typically the ones that you have to do the removal from, rather than just plowing it out to the side, because there was really no more room to put it anywhere. And we go by the number of calls, and maybe more people from Centerville called than other places. I don't have that information with me, but.
Okay, I was thinking of areas like St. Anthony's Church and, places like that. But you're talking about all of Lower Centerville, I imagine.
I'm sorry, I'm having.
You're talking about all of Lower Centerville and.
I think so. I don't have the Lowell stat thing. Maybe Rodney has that. But.
Yeah, through you, Mayor. Yeah, so Councilor, this is just a small sample size. We just took a certain amount of requests that came into the manager's office and sort of just took a breakdown of those to get a sense of, was there one area larger than the other? But this doesn't encompass all requests that came in through the city over the course of the winter.
No, thank you for making that study. I mean, I think it helps us in the future for doing a better job. I mean, you guys did a great job this winter, but I think you have a better idea what has to be done at this particular point. Thank you.
Thank you, Council. Further discussion on this? Seeing none, motion to accept the responses and place on file by Council O'Rourke, second by Council Mercia. All those in favor signify by saying aye, and the opposed. Motion responses are accepted. Excuse me, moving on, still under communications from the city manager. We have a communication. City manager requests 1 individual for out-of-state travel for the library. Questions on this? Motion approved by Council Martin, second by Council Leahy. Roll call.
Council Rourke.
Yes.
Council Samaras.
Yes.
Council Belanja.
Yes.
Mayor Elliott.
Yes.
Council Kennedy.
Yes.
Council Leahy.
Yes.
Council Martin.
Yes.
Council Mercia.
Yes.
Council Milonazo.
Yes.
That's 9 yeas.
Concludes that section, communications from the city manager. We'll move on to votes from the city manager first. We have 1 item. It's a vote to authorize city manager to transfer appropriation per Mass General Law, Chapter 44, Section 33B. I understand this is going to be pulled, Mr. Manager. Is that correct? Okay, so this will be delayed till to another time. Motion to delay or motion to take this off the agenda by Council Kennedy, second by Councilor Belanja. All those in favor signify by saying aye, and the opposed. Motion carries. Moving on to the next vote. There was a vote to transfer $20,000 to the Disability Commission. That was the first reading. Second reading. Second reading in City Council's an order to transfer funds to the Disability Commission revolving fund from the Parking Enterprise Fund by the City Council of the City of Lowell as follows: that the amount of $20,000 be transferred Parking Enterprise Fund to Disability Revolving Fund. Mr. Manager, I know what this is all about, but it would be helpful to let the public and probably members of the council, this is an agreement when I was on the Disability Commission, that this is the dollar amount that they get, correct?
Yes, this, thank you, Mr. Mayor, through you. This was a result of the motions of this city council and the wish of the city council that we support the Disability Commission. And what we do is we take a certain amount of the fines that are assessed for handicap parking violations in the Parking Enterprise Fund, and $20,000 of that we're asking to be transferred to the Disabilities Commission. You've previously authorized a $20,000 transfer that we are now using to perform an ADA feasibility study for City Hall and the Pollard Memorial Library, but this additional $20,000 will help to address issues regarding the disabled in the city of Lowell, and it's directly a result of your actions that we are taking this evening.
Thank you, Mr. Manager. Council Lee, you are now the liaison for the Disability Commission. Thank you.
Yes.
Do you
Yeah,
want
well, I just wanted to make that announcement that I am on the board before I voted for this.
Oh, okay. I think this is a good thing. So it's just a small amount from that Parking Enterprise Fund that the Disability Commission uses to make, excuse me, improvements throughout the community. For discussion, that was second reading is complete. Motion to approve by Council Kennedy, second by Council Belanger. Roll call.
Counsel Rourke.
Yes.
Counsel Samaras.
Yes.
Counsel Belanger.
Yes.
Mayor Elliott.
Yes.
Counsel Kennedy.
Yes.
Counsel Leahy.
Yes.
Counsel Martin.
Yes.
Counsel Mercia.
Yes.
Counsel Milonazo.
Yes.
9 yeas.
9 yeas. Next item on the agenda on the votes from the city manager is a vote to approve a TIF agreement for Markley Group LLC. This is quite a lengthy document, so I'll entertain a motion to waive the second reading.
So moved.
So moved by Council Kennedy, seconded by Council Belanger. All those in favor of that motion signify by saying aye. And the opposed, that motion carries. Second reading by title, Commonwealth of Massachusetts, City of Lowell, in City Council is a vote authorizing a tax increment financing agreement for the Markley Group LLC.
Mr. Mayor,
Council Kennedy.
I would move to approve the agreement.
Motion to approve by Council Kennedy, seconded by Council O'Rourke. Discussion on this? Council Kennedy.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, through you to the manager. Mr. Manager, everybody on this council is interested in economic development, and the main reason why everybody is interested in economic development is because it is the best way to expand the tax base. And so I think for a lot of people, when they see something like this TIF agreement, which is a tax incentive agreement, they wonder if there is a economic benefit to the city. So would you be able to summarize what the taxes are on that property now and what the taxes will be if this is voted on favorably?
Mr. Manager.
Thank you. Through you, Mayor. Thank you, Councilor Kennedy. Right now, this property at 2 Prince Ave is assessed at $5.9 million, which means that the annual tax bill on the property is $191,578.92. What this TIF agreement says is that Markley Group, if it is granted, will continue to pay that amount of taxes on that base value of $5.9 million. But for any improvements to the real estate above and beyond that 5.9%, they will be exempted 80% of that increased tax. So they'll continue to pay the $191,000, but they will pay 20% of any improvements. Now, they plan on doing a lot of improvements to this property. And based upon our conversations with the Markley Group, we estimate that over the 20-year period of this TIF, the City of Lowell will realize over $12 million in additional taxes above and beyond that $191,000 figure. So it must be understood that they aren't being exempted from taxes. They're paying more taxes, and $600,000 per year is the estimated increase in taxes that they are going to pay. I mean, I think that's great for the city, but also what I think is great for the city is this is cutting-edge technology that is coming into the City of Lowell. No longer are we the mill city. We are a progressive city. And this Markley Group shows that we are a progressive city. This is cutting-edge data and telecommunications and cloud servicing technology that they are bringing to the City of Lowell. And I'm actually very proud to bring this before the city council for approval, because I believe that it's a wonderful opportunity for the city. And we do have representatives of the Markley Group here this evening who came, if you had any questions or if you'd like them to just give a brief summary of what they plan to do at the premises.
If I can, Mr. Mayor, through you to the manager, I would be interested in hearing from them, but I agree with everything that you said. I think it's good that, that these people are coming into the city, and certainly if the forecast that you just gave us is correct, then that would triple the amount of tax revenue that is currently generated by that property. Is that?
Absolutely,
Yeah.
yes.
Mr. Manager, before we have the individuals come up, could you also speak to the job creation as part of this TIF agreement? Is there not a requirement that we generate additional jobs?
Correct. This is also a condition of the TIF for it to continue, that they increase the workforce, and these are highly skilled jobs that they are creating. Not only are they going to add 100 employees over the term of the TIF, but they're also going to reach out to the University of Massachusetts Lowell to work with the university to attract these highly skilled candidates and these students to work at the Markley Group. And if they don't increase it by 50 jobs after 10 years, then we do have the opportunity to cancel the TIF. So it's not like it's just a proposal that they're going to add jobs. If they don't add the jobs, they don't get the TIF.
Great, Council Martin.
Thank you, Mr. Manager. I agree with much of what Councilor Kennedy said. I think, this is a win for the city and will make better use of an underutilized property. So, my own, and I think there is sometimes some common misunderstanding of these so-called tax breaks or tax incentives, but, it's called a tax increment financing agreement, and it's the increment of the increased value. The taxes, they're not going down on this property, they're going to go up, and hopefully, if there's a lot of success there, the taxes will go up significantly. You mentioned that the value of the exemption on the increment amount is 80%, but over time declines to 70%. And my question was, is that comparable to what we've done in others of these types of agreements?
I'm sorry, Mr. Manager.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, we actually did a survey of the TIFs that have granted. Some have been less, but some have been more. As a matter of fact, the City Council, when they approved the TIF for Cross Point Towers, that TIF actually started off at 100% TIF. So, it's in line. I think it's a great opportunity, and the TIF is geared towards the real estate, because personal property is very difficult to value. It's, one person's trash is another one's treasure. So it's hard to value the personal property. Unlike the real estate, it's much more scientific. So that's why I think it's a good opportunity.
Right, and just to comment on, you mentioned Cross Point Towers, which was originally 100%, but now that is being fully taxed, as I understand it, and that's an example of how these things are supposed to work.
Mr. Manager.
Through you, Mr. Mayor. Excellent point. Cross Point Towers is now the #1 taxpayer in the city of Lowell, so it did work out very, very well.
Thank you.
Thank you. Council Belanger and Council Samaras.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd just like to echo the comments of my colleagues that, let's not forget that we're talking about a blighted piece of property here that's been 75% vacant the last 10 years. We have seen tenants there come and go, and owners have come and gone. We're talking about $100 million in investments at this property in the course of this agreement. We're also talking about local hiring efforts, Mr. Manager, and that's what I really applaud you for, that they are bound to, contractually bound to, I might add, to hire from within Lowell people, graduates from UMass Lowell, to keep these high-paying jobs in the city. And with the nature of this cutting-edge business, if you will, we're talking tens of millions of dollars in personal property due to, again, the nature of this business. And this TIF agreement, I'm sure, was crucial to landing the Markley Group to Lowell. So, Mr. Manager, you did what you had to do. And I think this is huge. I really do. I think this is great for the city. It's a win-win. So I applaud your staff and all those that are involved on this victory, if you will, because it's a property that we've struggled with for a long time here. So I applaud everyone involved, Mr. Manager. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Council. Mr. Manager, and then we want to go to Mr. Council Samaras.
All right, you make an excellent point that the staff are the ones who did the work on this. This was high-level negotiations and very, very critical negotiations. And I have to commend Diane Trad, Allison Lammy, Maria Dickinson, and Sue LeMay for the wonderful work that they did, because without their help, I could never have done it. And when I say it was high-level work, believe me, it was, and they deserve all the accolades anybody could give them.
Council Samaras?
Thank you. I want to commend the manager and his people. I mean, this is wonderful news because, as you say, it's changing the city, because we're now going from, a historical city of the cotton mills to research and development, which is going to be our future, especially with the University of Lowell. Council Belanger did touch upon the amount of money invested, but there's more to it than that. Can you give the public how much the potential for investment this company will have in this city?
Mr. Manager?
Can I just ask Allison Lammy to come up and just talk about the investment that they will be making?
Sure, thank you. And through you to the City Council. We are very excited about bringing Markley here tonight before you, and for you to consider this TIF agreement. Over the course of the 20 years of the life of the agreement, Markley is proposing to invest over $200 million in the Prince Ave site. And just for sort of a sense of scale here, we did a little survey of some of the former TIFs that we've done in the City of Lowell. There have been over 30 that have been approved by the City Council. Those 30 amounted to $200 million in investment. And we're talking about one project bringing in that much money on this one site. So we think this is a pretty, we're pretty excited about having them come to Lowell, about them choosing to come to Lowell. They are, I'll let them speak much more about sort of what they do and what they're planning to do at the Prince site. But we see this as a very significant improvement to the City of Lowell and to that site.
Thank you.
All set, Council. Council Milonazo?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Through you to the city manager, congratulations to you and your team. This is very good news for the city. In my professional career, I have actually been involved in this building, and I know it's a difficult building to say the least, 350,000 square feet, and you've worked with a first-class developer in the Markley Group LLC, and very pleased to be able to support this. My question has to do with the creation of the River Meadow Economic Opportunity Area. Is it just for the to Prince Avenue, or does it expand beyond Prince Avenue? The River Meadow Economic Opportunity Area.
Mr. Manager?
Could I have Ms. Lammy
Ms.
address
Lammy.
that?
Sure, thank you. The River Meadow Economic Opportunity Area was designated, I believe, in 1998. So it's been a designation for quite some time, and it does include the whole Prince site. But it's been something that's been, considered for quite some time, I think, because of the nature of that property and the emphasis on looking at ways
Does it
we
extend
can
out to
reinvest.
Gorham Street or just the Prince site?
I don't believe so. Maria, do you know? Does it extend beyond
Okay.
into Gorham Street? Okay, it does, yes.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you,
Thank you.
Mr. Manager.
All right, thank you. Council Mercia?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Everybody said everything that could be said, but I don't want to sit here and not say anything because I'm exploding with excitement, because there's a lot more to like about it, the City of Lowell, since these wonderful people have decided to invest in the City of Lowell and invest in a blighted building, put it back on the tax roll to a full extent, and provide services and provide job opportunities. So thank you very much for thinking of Lowell and being a partner here. We appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Council. Further discussion? We have a motion.
Yeah, there is.
What's that? Yep, Markley, would you like to come on up? Excuse me. Or representatives from Markley, excuse me. Oh. Could we just get your name for the record, please?
My name is Jeffrey Flanagan with the Markley Group, Executive Vice President of the Markley Group. I do have a little handout here that would be appropriate to give to the councilors if we could. I just wanted to give a brief overview of the services that we're going to be bringing to Lowell, the benefits that Lowell will achieve through this redevelopment. But first, I'd like to start out by thanking the Department of Planning and Development, as well as the Assessor's Office, and obviously the City Manager as well, for helping us in these negotiations and really doing everything to attract us to this building. We're very excited about this opportunity, and we think it's going to be a real win-win for the City of Lowell as well as for the Markley Group. But just briefly, and feel free to ask me any questions as I do go through this, the services that we provide are customized data centers, co-location, which basically refers to the sharing of infrastructure to support computer operations over multiple companies. We own a building in Boston, which is the telecommunications hub for the New England region. And part of our plan, which we think is going to be very beneficial to the City of Lowell, is we will build a dark fiber ring from the Prince site back to 1 Summer Street. And this will enable the local businesses here in Lowell, as well as educational institutions, basically to have access to our carriers at 1 Summer. And actually, there's a list of carriers in here as well. But these are global telecommunications companies. And basically, they can provide, it'll eliminate a lot of cost involved in the telecommunications infrastructure serving Lowell today. We also offer a cloud computing platform, which is very beneficial for the clients within the building. Basically, cloud computing refers to, sort of renting computers by the hour, if you will, instead of having to own your own infrastructure. It's very attractive to startups, which we intend, to really have a lot of in the building. It's really an infrastructure that provides for collaboration between companies. So the cloud computing will attract a lot of startups that don't want to invest in their own infrastructure and could just rent by the hour, if you will. But we do a lot of high-density solutions as well, which we plan on doing in Lowell also. And this is really applicable to research and development with high-performance computing. So we think that's going to be a very attractive portion of the building that we do as well. We also provide what's called the Boston Internet Exchange, which is basically a platform where companies can share their IP networks at no cost to each other and basically peer with each other. This is very advantageous in eliminating what they refer to as hops along the way on the internet to decrease latency and increase speed with communications. So that will be another benefit to the companies of Lowell through this property. If you turn the pages, you'll see a couple of renderings as well, one depicting the existing site, and then 3 proposed designs that we're studying right now for what we intend to do with the facility. As has been mentioned, we do plan to invest a significant amount of money in the building. Some of the challenges we face are the fact that the building has been blighted for many, many years. So there's certainly a lot of core and shell work to be done in addition to the investments we'll be making for the infrastructure to support the data center operations. Are there any questions I could address for the councilors?
Any further questions? I think we're good to go. Thank you. We appreciate it.
you.
Appreciate the presentation.
Thank you.
Okay. That motion's been made and seconded to approve. Roll call.
Counsel Rourke.
Yes.
Counsel Samaras.
Yes.
Counsel Belanger.
Yes.
Mayor Elliott.
Yes.
Counsel Kennedy.
Yes.
Counsel Leahy.
Yes.
Counsel Martin.
Yes.
Counsel Mercia.
Yes.
Counsel Milonazo.
Yes.
It's 9 yeas.
9 yeas. Thank you. And congratulations. We appreciate you picking the city of Lowell to expand and create jobs, and we wish you well. Okay, moving on to the next item of the agenda, we have another vote. This is a vote to. All right, we're going to go into the public hearing that was advertised for 7 o'clock. The public hearing is an ordinance to amend Chapter 150 entitled Fees. This relative to the police department. This is the second reading. Motion to waive the full reading. It's kind of a lengthy motion to waive the full reading by Council Milonazo, seconded by Council Rourke. All those in favor signify by saying aye, and the opposed, motion carries. Second reading will be by title, Commonwealth of Massachusetts, City of Lowell, and City Councils, and ordinance amending the Code of Ordinances in the City of Lowell, Massachusetts with respect to Chapter 150 thereof entitled Fees. If I can just briefly state, by amending Chapter 150 entitled Fees, Police Department, by deleting the following numbers, 4 and 15. This is relative to FID card, chemical propellant, photos for passports, taxi license, and taxi license renewal. We'll proceed into this portion of the public hearing for anyone wishing to speak in favor. We'll open the public hearing for anyone wishing to speak in favor. Anyone wishing to speak in favor? Seeing none, that portion of the public hearing is closed. We'll now open this portion of the public hearing for anyone wishing to speak in opposition. Anyone in opposition? Anyone opposed? Seeing none, we will also close that portion of the public hearing. What is the wish of the body?
Move approval.
Move to approve by Council Mercia, second by Council Martin. Discussion? Roll call.
Counsel Rourke.
Yes.
Counsel Samaras.
Yes.
Counsel Belanger.
Yes.
Mayor Elliott.
Yes.
Counsel Kennedy.
Yes.
Counsel Leahy.
Yes.
Counsel Martin.
Yes.
Counsel Mercia.
Yes.
Counsel Milonazo.
Yes.
That's 9 yeas.
9 yeas. We will now revert back to a section of the agenda, votes on the city manager. This is a vote to apply, accept, expend a $13.4 million Tiger grant. This requires second reading, 2 readings before discussion. Motion to waive the full reading on this by Council Kennedy, seconded by Council Leahy. All those in favor signify by saying aye, and the opposed, motion carries. Commonwealth of Massachusetts, second reading by title. Commonwealth of Massachusetts, City of Lowell, and City Council is a vote authorizing the Department of Planning and Development to apply for, to accept, and to expend funds from the Federal Department of Transportation's Tiger Discretionary Grant program for up to $13.4 million to support the design and construction of significant infrastructure improvements to the transportation and infrastructure problem. If you would like to
Move approval.
move to approve by Council Kennedy, second by Council Belanger. Discussion, Mr. Manager?
Yes, thank you. Through you, Mr. Mayor, I'd like to ask Craig Thomas from the Division of Planning and Development to give a brief presentation, but before he does, again, the staff people from the Department of Planning and Development and the city assessor have had a very busy 2 weeks with the Markley Group TIF, and now with this Enel Bridge Tiger Grant application. They have done some really high-level work, and they should be commended. And Diane Trad, Allison Lammy, Craig Thomas, and Sula May have been really doing a great job. I think they've come up with a great plan that we're presenting to the City Council. I apologize for the expedited request on a vote this evening, but in order for us to apply for this grant, it has to be in by June 5th, and this is the this is the last meeting that we have the opportunity to make this presentation and have you make a vote on it. But Craig, if you could just do a brief summary for the city council as what we're proposing.
So, Mr. Manager, Mr. Thomas, if I could, there is someone registered to speak from the public, and we'd like to let the public speak, and then you could give the presentation if that's okay. Yep. Mr. Clark?
Chris Gleba.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I appreciate it. My name's Chris Gleba. I'm a resident of Lowell, and I have a 5-minute commentary on the Enel Bridge problem. I thank the City Council for listening. First, let me commend the city for pursuing a solution to this decades-long Enel Bridge problem. It is clear it must be solved, and it is a difficult problem. It took serious initiative to attempt to tackle it, and I thank the city for the initiative. I also understand that after waiting so long, the city is excited to get a deal in place. That is certainly understandable. But I'm also finding as details emerge, there are a lot of questions, and the plan seems incomplete. Unfortunately, we know all too well that some deals the city rushed past did not work well as intended. The good news is we have the opportunity here to cross all the T's and dot the I's and ensure that this deal is solid. With that, I have 5 questions for the City Council to consider, as well as 6 recommendations. The first question I have is in the agenda tonight, there's an item to apply for a federal Tiger grant for $13.4 million of the $16.7 million required to repair 6 of the 8 Enel bridges. This is sensible. Given that the Tiger grants are discretionary, however, it is not guaranteed the city will win this grant. For example, only one project in Massachusetts was awarded a Tiger grant last year. If the grant is not awarded, what is the city's plan B? I saw in the city manager's letter hints that the city may be able to back out of some parts of the deal, but it is not very clear. Do we know for certain the purchase and sale agreement with Enel will be void if we do not win a Tiger grant? More importantly, will we be able to back out of or renegotiate the global settlement with Enel? This part is not clear at all in this evening's City Council packet. It seems reasonable to clearly account for contingencies. My second question is fundamental. Is this a good deal? The fact is I don't know because the details of the payment agreement between the city and Enel have not been released. For background, for those that do not know, Enel believes the city overvalued their property and has sued the city to reduce their taxes. To avoid going to court, the city has agreed to relieve them of their broken bridges and to a tax agreement. How do we know if this is a good deal? It's a very simple test. When all the math is done, if Enel is paying the city to be relieved of their bridges, this is a good deal and is a commendable win-win situation. This type of transaction is sensible and common. For example, IBM recently paid GlobalFoundries to take their money-losing computer chip business. If, however, the city is paying Enel, it raises some serious questions. For example, did Enel let the bridges deteriorate in order to squeeze the city for a tax deal? If so, I question if this deal is the only or the best option. For example, would a better deal have been reached if the city were to negotiate an abatement issue separately from the bridge issue? After all, the city needs the bridges and Enel does not. Negotiating the two together heavily favored Enel. This brings me to my third question. Exactly what effect will Enel's pilot deal have on the 2016 budget? This does not appear accounted for because the pilot payments that are currently in the budget are projected to go down. For those who do not know, PILOT stands for Payments in Lieu of Taxes. It is how tax-free institutions like schools and hospitals make contributions for the city services they use. In this case, the city is looking to remove Enel, a private for-profit company, from the city's tax base and collect a fee instead. Since Enel was the city's 6th largest taxpayer, paying $1.2 million a year in 2014, a change in their payment structure will have a significant effect on this budget as well as future budgets. It seems reasonable to understand how this change will be spread among the remaining taxpayers. For my fourth question, this deal seems to only cover part of the problem. It covers 6 of the 8 bridges and does not include Enel's canals. Will this deal just be an incentive for Enel to squeeze the city harder on future issues? What happens when the canals deteriorate? Will we need to do this all over again? Again, this plan seems incomplete, which brings me to my 5th and final question. Enel's situation is not unique. Like Enel, there are other companies that have infrastructure within our city that does not contribute to the bottom line, much like Enel's bridges don't contribute to their bottom line. A few examples are Pan Am Railways, Verizon, and National Grid. I apologize. What does appear to be unique, however, is how reckless Enel has been with their infrastructure and how bold they have been with their lawsuit. What type of message does this deal with Enel send to other companies? For example, if the city chooses to pursue a walk bridge to the West Ave Studios, will Pan Am Railways now launch an abatement lawsuit and require a tax deal for the Bolt Street property in order to allow a bridge? If the city wants to repair roads that cross the National Grid easement, will National Grid now launch a lawsuit and require a tax deal on the School Street property? Is the message that if you are a bad enough neighbor and squeeze the city hard enough, We'll give you a tax break and take over your problems. Is it okay for our city to privatize profits and publicize the costs? I know Enel is a difficult situation. However, has the City Council thought through the potential unintended consequences? This brings me to my suggestions. I have 6. First suggestion, create and release a clear Plan B for if the city does not win the discretionary Tiger Grant. 2, update the fiscal year 16 city budget to reflect the new tax structure after Enel's pilot agreement. 3, create and release a clear plan for the other 2 bridges and the canals. 4, release some details of the pilot agreement. Let the residents know what they're getting into. 5, listen to residents. I think you'll find this is not the only solution. 6, delay the vote by 1 week. I understand the city manager wishes to get the vote in this week because next week will be budget issues. But there is 2 weeks in between now and the deadline for the Tiger Grant. It is logical and prudent to delay it because as the city manager's letter clearly states, they're still working out the funding details and they're still negotiating with Enel. We definitely do not want an incomplete deal with Enel given their extremely rocky history with the city. Reread the city manager's letter. There is no firm commitment from Enel for any of their contributions. If that is the case, what exactly is the city council voting for? In conclusion, with the looming grant application and Enel shutting down more bridges, I have no doubt the council feels extreme pressure to get a vote tonight. I'm sure you have heard the argument that it will be painful, but we must do it now. The key is, as I'm sure you know, deals like this are never black and white. There's still time to cross the T's and dot the I's and go beyond another incomplete quick deal and turn it into a solid, thoughtful deal. There are contingencies to plan for, plan Bs to create, unintended consequences to consider, and alternatives to think about. We don't need a perfect plan. We certainly need a more thorough plan. Don't let Enel's recklessness with the bridges force you into a premature vote. Seize the opportunity to do it right. Thank you for consideration.
Thank you, Mr. Glebe. We appreciate it for your thoughtful, I think there's some great questions, and hopefully we'll be able to answer most of them. Some of the recommendations also included. So with that, that's the only one registered to speak, Mr. Clerk?
That's correct.
Mr. Manager, would like to proceed. Mr. Thomas with the presentation.
All right, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, City Manager. Thank you, City Council. And thank you, residents, for coming out and raising some very important questions. And I actually feel very strongly that this presentation, the information provided in the packet, as well as some of the questions that I'm sure will come out from the council, will address all of the questions that were brought up. And so the status quo almost doesn't need to be addressed, but so we make sure we're on the same page about what we're talking about here. We're seeking an answer to the issue of a series of privately owned bridges in and around Lowell's downtown. They're enumerated on this board here for the council, as well as a board here that faces the public so you can follow along. We have them numbered 1 through 8, and I'll come back to address the color coding. But so we're all on the same page. We're talking about the Pawtucket Street Bridge over the Pawtucket Canal. This is at the entryway to the canal system over by the Merrimack River. Pawtucket Street over the Northern Canal, number 2, between the University of Massachusetts Lowell's East Campus and their North Campus, where over 7,000 students walk each day. Number 3 is the Broadway Bridge. It's been the subject of debate. It has now been restricted to 1 lane, and as all these bridges will be addressed through this project. Number 4 is the Central Street Bridge. This is on the way into downtown. Number 5 is the Suffolk Street Bridge, which is unfortunately recently closed. 6 here, one of 2 Merrimack Street bridges. That's the Merrimack Street Bridge over the Western, which is next to Jeanne d'Arc's new facility. Number 7 is Merrimack Street Bridge at the intersection with Dutton Street. A lot of folks don't realize that Merrimack Street at the light is actually a bridge, but that is one of the Enel-owned bridges. And finally, Kearney Square, number 8. So this situation is not unique in that a private company owns infrastructure in a municipality. This situation is quite unique in that a private company owns essentially all of the publicly accessible rights of way into and out of our downtown and our central business district. If you simply look at this map, you can see how critical this infrastructure is to our downtown, to the economy, the lifeblood of our city, which is the lifeblood of our region, as well as to the University of Massachusetts Lowell, which we all understand is a critical part of our success. And unlike, say, a railroad or a telecommunications company, where their rights of way are really for their use, and when we want to use those rights of way, we sometimes have to ask nicely and sometimes work together. These are really and truly public rights of way. These are rights of way that everyone uses to get in and out of these areas. In addition, the fact of their deterioration has caused us serious concern and has restricted both the economic development potential of some sites that are serviced by these bridges, folks wondering if they can get commercial trucks to and from our downtown across these bridges, as well as University of Massachusetts Lowell's continued expansion, which has been hampered by the condition of the bridges, especially the two Pawtucket Street bridges. Unfortunately, Enel has not been a very willing partner in the ongoing maintenance for these bridges. An example is we had some concerns about Suffolk Street this past fall, but actually as a result of thorough inspections that that were undertaken as part of this grant, Suffolk Street was found to be in much worse condition and closed. It's really important to understand Enel's feeling about their legal responsibility. Enel has taken the position that they are not required to fix and maintain these bridges up to the highest standards. In fact, Enel has taken the position that they are simply required to assess these bridges and to post them and or restrict them and or close them as indicated by the structural stability of those bridges. So now we get to our proposal. We're seeking federal money to rehabilitate or replace all 8 of these bridges. And this is where the color coding is really important. The 3 bridges in red are in the worst condition. Pawtucket over Pawtucket, Pawtucket over Northern, and Suffolk over Northern. Those are proposed for full replacement. The bridges in yellow, the 2 Merrimack Street bridges and the Central Street Bridge, are proposed for full repair up to what's called an unposted condition, which really means the highest level of stability and the highest level of maintenance. Finally, the bridges in green, Broadway and Kearny Square, have been, in the case of Kearny, or will be, in the case of Broadway, fully repaired and or replaced by Enel prior to the execution of this agreement. Now, the way the purchase and sale has been written, and you have the working draft on your desks tonight as a part of a global settlement agreement, is such that if the city is successful in securing the federal money, we will acquire these bridges for $0 from Enel. In addition, Enel will contribute up to approximately $750,000 for the design of these bridges. We will also leverage matching dollars from the University of Massachusetts Lowell. But a fundamental point that was also brought up, and it's a very good one, is if we don't get this federal money, we will not do this project. We have a lot of opportunity right now with the interest of Enel to work with us. Again, they've not always been the most willing partner, but they're seeking to work with us now. The opportunity of the Tiger Grant, as well as UMass Lowell's interest in what's happening here, and the leadership of this administration and the City Council if you're desirous of moving forward with this. To speak a little bit to the budget detail, all of this work that will be undertaken, so the 6 projects, the 3 replacement in red and the 3 repair in yellow, that is a $16.7 million project. We are seeking $13.4 million from the federal Tiger program. Honestly, we would seek more, but they don't let us. They're only allowed to pay for 80% of a project. Thankfully, both Enel, but especially the University of Massachusetts Lowell, have stepped up to provide matching funds for this. Enel is committed to the design of at least 2 bridges, the 2 most expensive Pawtucket Street bridges. And again, we estimate that amount to be worth about $750,000 in our cost estimate for the grant. And again, these are not numbers that were thoughtfully created. These numbers actually come directly from engineering assessments of the bridges within the last months. Those are actually the assessments that led to the closure of the Suffolk Street Bridge due to an previously unforeseen structural problem. In addition to Enel's money, UMass Lowell will be contributing $2 million as a part of the match, which I'll actually ask Adam Baker to come speak about now. And the city will be putting in approximately $600,000. Now, for $600,000, the city funding, which the CFO Baldwin pointed out to me with some interest, is more like $800,000. So between $600,000 and $800,000 of city funding, we can leverage a $16.7 million project. Again, much of that through the matching contributions of UMass Lowell. So Adam, if you could come talk about that.
Thank you, Craig, and good evening, everybody. And it's a pleasure to be back here. I really want to start by just commending the city administration, this city administration, for having the vision and the commitment to follow through and really work out a very creative and extremely complicated arrangement here. And I know from having worked here for a while and having had some interest in this issue when I was here, just how difficult that is, and I think the fact that this administration has been able to bring it this far deserves a tremendous amount of credit, and this council deserves a tremendous amount of credit for working with the administration to help make this happen. The university is extremely interested in this issue as well. As Mr. Thomas explained in his presentation, the condition of some of these bridges, particularly the two on Pawtucket Street, is getting to a place where it is really having a severe impact on potentially stifling our ability to continue to grow. And I think we certainly appreciate the council's support, and we think the council understands just the incredible role that the university has been playing in recent years in helping to support and drive an aspect of the economy here in the city. And it's really been the growth of the university that's been a key factor in that. And in order for us to continue to grow further, we really need to find ways to continue to broaden our transit system for intercampus trips, and also increase the number of walkers and pedestrians and bicyclists doing intercampus trips. If we had to rely solely on single occupancy passenger vehicles between the campuses, I think we would very quickly get to a place where the roads between the campuses can't handle any more of them. Unfortunately, the bridge, the Pawtucket Street over the Pawtucket Canal Bridge, is already posted at a level where our transit buses can't get across it. And with the conditions of the Broadway Bridge at the moment, they can't cross that one either. So in order to get from our South Campus to our North Campus, you get a scenic tour of the Lower Highlands, which is hardly the most efficient way to do it, and that discourages ridership and limits our ability to, again, take the cars off the road. And as Craig pointed out, we actually have, for the Pawtucket Street over the Northern Canal Bridge, which connects our primarily residential East Campus with our University Crossing and our academic North Campus, we have 7,000 pedestrians a day walking across that bridge. Unfortunately, both sidewalks of that bridge are currently closed due to the condition of them, that they're not structurally stable enough even for pedestrians to be on those sidewalks. What the current bridge owner has done is they've placed a guardrail down the middle of the bridge, if you haven't been on it, and those 7,000 pedestrians walk down the road, separated only by a guardrail from oncoming traffic. We're also extremely concerned that if that bridge continues to deteriorate to a point where it is posted at a lower weight limit than it presently can accommodate, we will no longer be able to provide bus service off of the East Campus, because Pawtucket Street's a one-way street. Nor will fire trucks that respond to calls at the high-rise Fox Hall or any of the other dormitories in that area, or folks leaving the Lasher Park in any vehicle that's over whatever the posting turns out to be able to exit those areas. And obviously that'll have pretty severe impacts across the board. So as a consequence of that, the university is very interested in this project. We're very excited that the city is stepping up and stepping forward with this initiative. We're actually frankly excited that Enel seems to be at the table in a way that they haven't been in a very long time, and they're stepping forward as well. And for our part, we are committed to providing $2 million, or the reimbursement of $2 million worth of debt that would be incurred to support the match on this, and that's actually more than half of the match requirement for the grant. And if that money is borrowed, we will reimburse both the principal and the interest payments associated with that $2 million being borrowed for the city over the life and term of that loan. So we also are providing, as part of the process of putting the grant together, both faculty and staff support for some of the aspects of putting the grant together. We also have some consultants that are working with us to support some of the more technical aspects of this project as well. And we look forward to continuing to provide those similar kinds of in-kind services in addition to the monetary contribution to help ensure that the project is successfully implemented should the grant be successful. So happy to answer any questions anyone has, but I'll let Greg finish with the presentation. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Bakey. Welcome back.
Okay. All right, thank you. To summarize again the budget detail, we're talking about a $16.7 million project for which we're seeking $13.4 million of federal funding. The university has offered the reimbursement of $2 million, and if that money is borrowed by the city, the reimbursement of the principal and the interest associated with that $2 million principal, as well as approximately $750,000 from Enel, all leveraged by $600,000 of principal by the city investment. Now, a few things to consider as a part of this grant proposal. If we are successful in securing the federal money, and again, the project, at least this section of our negotiations with Enel, or this project itself only moves forward with the successful grant award, the city will be the owner of 8 bridges, 5 fully replaced and repaired, 4 fully replaced and 4 fully repaired to the highest standards of maintenance. As owners, the city, infrastructure ownership is what we do. We own bridges, we own roads in the city, we have the staff, we have the experience and the expertise, as well as we have partners at the state and federal level who have and will continue to provide us funding to maintain our infrastructure. If there's no change to the current situation through this project, we'll maintain the fundamental ownership dilemma, which is a private entity, Enel, which seeks to maintain this asset to the bare minimum because it has no direct incentive for their core company, which is hydroelectric production. Finally, the city, and I have to emphasize, the city manager's been particularly aggressive about this, negotiating to make sure we are getting the best deal possible for the city and holding Enel's feet to the fire. Enel is not only contributing the design money for at least 2 bridges, the 2 Pawtucket Street bridges, which is approximately $750,000. They're also completing the full repair of Kearny Square, which, as we know, has been fully repaired now, and the replacement of the Broadway Street Bridge. In total, those bridge investments represent $5.5 million that Enel has put in, which is coming as a part of a larger settlement agreement that we are moving forward. Kearny Square was moving forward as we continued a global settlement with Enel. Broadway, they have expedited as a part of this project. If the council is desirous of moving forward with this, we'll need a few votes tonight to make this work. There's the grant vote. There is a resolution vote to support the city's commitment to the match. And there's the authorization for the city manager to enter into a purchase and sale agreement. And I know, again, you have before you a draft purchase and sale agreement, but we have been, these processes, both the settlement and purchase and sale, as well as this grant, has been in process for some time. We have expedited our process in the recent months. We have a lot of background on this. We've been engaged in these negotiations for many years, and we've employed the highest level, highest quality professionals to advise us as a part of our assessment of these bridges moving into this. We don't take this project lightly, and despite the expedited timeline, we have moved very aggressively to secure all necessary information to secure the best deal possible for the city.
Mr. Mayor?
Thank you, Mr. Thomas. Before you step down, I'm sure there'll be some questions. Council Belanger?
Yes, Mr. Mayor. Through you, I have one question for Mr. Thomas. Now, Craig, hypothetically speaking, this does all come into fruition. What is the time frame to get all these bridges into new or like new condition?
Mr. Thomas?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Through you to Council Belanger. The Tiger program itself also has, well, to take one step back, part of the reason the grant timeline is short for the Tiger project is this is one of the projects that was put forth as part of the stimulus plan. So it's a project with the specific authorization to get started quickly, get moving quickly, and solve complex problems. That rationale and that strand of thought for this grant has been maintained through 7 rounds of funding. This is the 7th round of Tiger funding. So as a part of our commitment for this grant, we need to secure an agreement with the Federal Department of Transportation by the summer of 2017, which is by that point, we need to be construction ready to hit the ground, really and truly shovel ready. From there, we have a 5-year window, so that's 2 years from now, to be in the ground and working. And we know before that, Enel, if we are successful moving forward with this grant, we're securing the money to move forward with our work with Enel, they will move forward on an expedited timeline for the Broadway Bridge. That will be in construction already. So by the summer of 2017, we will be fully shovel ready. The grant allows us another 5 years to complete all construction, but we are looking at a more aggressive timeline in the neighborhood of 3 years to complete all work.
Wow, very good. Very good. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
You're welcome. Thank you, Council. Council Samaras?
Thank you, Mayor Elliott, and thank you for this presentation, Mr. Thomas. So basically what you're saying, though, to put it in simple terms, if we do nothing, if we do not accept this approach, we'll be, as time goes on, in a far worse situation than we presently are, correct?
If, as the policymaking body, the council here is always looking on the longest range and looking for the best opportunity for the city. And this is a fundamental problem that has existed really and truly since the inception of the city. As a part of the research for this, we found a letter from the city solicitor from the 1890s asking Enel to update and maintain their deteriorating bridges. So the fundamental nature of Enel's ownership of these bridges has created the deferred maintenance problem. If we don't solve that issue, we will continue to live with this issue going forward. And this is what we believe our best opportunity to solve that issue is, to update the city's infrastructure to the highest level, highest quality level for us to take over and maintain and own, and the best opportunity to continue to improve the economic potential of our downtown.
Yeah. As you had stated, that a private company owning these bridges is really an anomaly in a sense, and they can do what they want. And now over the years has proven not to be a good partner in this situation. So what you're giving us is an opportunity to receive some very serious money from the Tiger Grant, a partnership, a strong partnership as we have with the university that will absorb a lot of our costs, and an actual promise by Enel to really do something that's worthwhile at this present time. So if all these pieces were to fall in place, and we then finally receive the ownership of those bridges in great condition, a lot of the problems that the university is facing presently, a lot of the problems that people just trying to get across town are facing, a lot of businesses with trucks that can't utilize those bridges, this can take care of that situation.
These are all excellent points, Councilor. Life safety vehicles are detoured, as Mr. Bakey mentioned. The Lowell Public School buses are detoured. We have serious issues with the routes to school based on these bridges as well. This infrastructure issue touches so many different parts of the city, which is why I'm sure everyone in this room has some response or reaction to this kind of proposal.
No, thank you. When you talk about safety, fire trucks, that's the crux of it. School buses and the buses that belong to the students of the university. Thank you for this great outline. Thank you.
Thank you, Council. Councilor Marcia.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. We actually did learn that legally Enel is not required to fix the bridges. There's no laws to advise them to fix the bridges. Their only obligation, we learned, was that they have to post the weight for vehicles to travel over the bridges. And we learned that through the years, they're not a very good partner with the things that they've let to deteriorate, and they've crippled the university, residents, public safety vehicles, as Councilor Samaras has said. And I think so much diligent, hard work has taken place to get us where we are right now. And I'm wholeheartedly supporting every aspect of this, but citizens in the city are concerned because this is their thought. They're thinking, oh, this company owns 8 bridges, left them to deteriorate, and we're rewarding them by paying them to get them off of their back. So in a nutshell, you could say that the reason we're doing this alone is because we want the overview of being able to make this city safe and to travel back and forth. The bottom line is, what are we ultimately paying to get these bridges for ourselves? So tell the public that.
Thank you, Councilor. It's a great point to emphasize. We are paying $0 to acquire this infrastructure.
Right.
In addition, we are requiring Enel to deliver to us Kearney Square in the condition that was the result of a $2 million improvement, expedite the improvements to the Broadway Bridge for a cost slightly over $3 million, and give us the design costs needed for at least 2 Pawtucket Street bridges, which we have, as a part of our construction estimates, at approximately $750,000 cash from Enel for this project.
This is a great day. First, we know that a derelict, tremendous building is being put back and be utilized. Now we find out that so many good people are working very hard in the planning department, and you see the fruits of their labor by all the hard work that you're bringing at this council meeting this evening. So I think you should all be commended. This is a great night for the city of Lowell to do all the things that we're supposed to be doing to make it right for the residents in this city. Thank you.
Thank you very
Thank
much.
you, Council. Council Kennedy, and then Council Rourke.
Thank you. If we get the money from the grant, that will be a greater day than this day. I just wanted to ask, there's 3 votes before us tonight. Besides the Tiger grant, there's also the PNS agreement. Do we have to have the PNS agreement in place? Does that need to be part of the Tiger grant? Is that why that's on the agenda this evening?
Yeah, I can answer them. Yeah, I can answer them one at a time. We do need the PNS approved, and here's why. The Tiger grant is eligible to pay for private infrastructure, but that's not what we want to do. We do not want to improve this such that Enel can enjoy the updated infrastructure. Rather, if we are going to invest this money, we, the city, and the public want to enjoy the updated infrastructure and the improvements that would be funded. To do that, we need to show ownership to the federal government as a part of this grant application, but obviously we're also not going to buy the bridges if we don't get the grant. So the PNS seems to be the best vehicle to use. It says we both enter into a legal commitment to do this project. It outlines and enumerates the details that we're talking about now, and it says that we will only go forward with this if we are successful in securing the grant.
Right. But the PNS, it needs to be part of the application process, or needs to be part of the package for the, right?
Correct. That the US DOT has advised us that we need to show the seriousness of our negotiations and agreement with Enel, and the PNS seems to be the best, most succinct opportunity to show a true commitment that can be completed and doesn't require further negotiation after, say, a grant award, but doesn't involve the city taking on unfunded liability right now.
Okay. And the last vote is going to be on the pilot program, which that doesn't need to be voted on this evening, does it?
The pilot program does not need to be included as a part of this grant vote, and we can put that forward, say, to the Economic Development Subcommittee or some other body for further discussion and review, and defer to the city manager if he wants to add anything to that. But these can be totally separate parts of our conversation with Enel.
Right, okay. That's it.
Also, Council Rourke.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So I think that the 3 main points that were given to us tonight is, the first one is the over $16 million in funding for only $600,000 of the city's money. That be correct, Craig?
$600,000 of principal, up to $800,000, Connor tells me, so you have to be a little careful.
And when we do acquire the bridges, they'll all be up to the highest quality of standards and inspections. That's also correct?
Absolutely correct.
So what's the need to repair any of these bridges going forward would be 75, 100 years from now, once they're...
It would be the absolute minimum available to any owner of any public infrastructure, because we'd have the newest, fully new bridges in several instances, and fully repaired, unposted bridges and the rest.
Great. After that presentation, Mr. Manager, I fully support this agreement. Hopeful for the funding to be in place, and congratulate you and the administration on getting this done. So thank you.
Thank you, Councilor. Councilor Belanger.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Some great questions asked here this evening. I believe this is a great piece of negotiations on behalf of the manager and his administration. But now, I absolutely am thrilled with what I'm hearing to this point. But the concern I hear from taxpayers is, okay, hypothetically, it's a very aggressive plan. 3-4 years, we have 8 bridges that are deteriorated in new or like new condition, and that's great. But Mr. Mayor, through you to the manager, what about long-term maintenance, Mr. Manager? That is a concern of mine, the taxpayers, people who I talk to, because it is a costly business, if you will. Do we apply for federal, state grants as far as maintenance and repair from that point? That's what I have for long-term concern.
Mr. Manager.
Thank you, through you, Mr. Mayor. That's an excellent point. And as a matter of fact, we have a meeting next Wednesday with Stephanie Pollock, the Secretary of Transportation in the Commonwealth, to go over those issues, because this will allow us in the future to be able to apply for state funds to repair bridges. We do that right now, with the University Ave, now the Howe Bridge. the Lawrence Street Bridge. We own a number of bridges, and we'll be able to apply for state funds also now that we have the indicia of ownership of the bridges.
Great, so we'll qualify for state money down the road, right, okay, that's great, but, you know, I mean, I'm new to this council, obviously, but talking to neighborhood groups and university and city officials here who've been here a lot longer than you see the frustration on their faces dealing with this company. They have been totally uncooperative. They don't have to repair to the same standards as the municipalities do. They can leave a bridge up restricted for as long as they want without doing the necessary repairs for public safety vehicles, as Councilor Samaras alluded to, transportation vehicles. I think the city has been held hostage long enough, and it's time to relieve Enel from their responsibilities. So I do support everything on the table regarding this procedure, Mr. Manager. Thank you very much.
Mr. Manager?
Thank you. I just want to add one thing is the negotiations with Enel have not been easy. And Christine O'Connor, the city solicitor, I didn't mention her, but she's done a wonderful job, and she should be congratulated also for the negotiations of all of these agreements.
Thank you.
Further discussion on this item? Council Martin.
Thank you. Mr. Manager, could you speak to the pilot a little bit? I mean, are you looking for us to approve the pilot tonight? Or, I mean, do we even have a vote? I didn't, unless I missed it, I didn't see it in the packet.
There's item 4.6 is a vote to approve the pilot, so perhaps we can take that up after the next two votes. And if there's a question, I mean, Mr.
No,
Manager,
I
can you
think he's
respond?
asking, we haven't completed the negotiations of the pilot. There are some little procedural things. What we probably was suggested, send it to a subcommittee, and we will bring the final package into the subcommittee if that's what you're so inclined to do. But we really don't want to vote this evening on the final pilot.
Okay. I assume at some point that's going to be necessary, though, to get Enel to sign the purchase and sale agreement. Or?
That's part and parcel of the deal.
Right. So, fair enough. I mean, there's a pretty detailed pilot presentation from the Markley Group, and we don't have that. So if we're going to wait on that, that's fine. And the mayor's right. We should take that in order when it comes. But as to these votes, you know, like others, I really am impressed with the work that's gone in here. Oftentimes, you know, we get questions, well, what do these city planners do? And we're seeing the fruits of their work tonight. I mean, I think the work on the Prince Ave property, you know, it's going to be cutting-edge technology here in Lowell. And, you know, when I speak to groups, sometimes I say, you know, Lowell was founded as sort of a cutting-edge technological center. You know, these old mills that we're trying to restore in these canals were the economic marvel of their time. And James Francis was ahead of his time in many ways, and we, you know, I don't want it to make it seem like it's always history here. We are looking. Wang at the time was, you know, a technological innovator. Hopefully Markley's going to continue in that trend. And so the planners that have worked on that project should be proud of the work they've done on that project. And I think you and your staff, I appreciate the work of the solicitor, but in the planners, I mean, this is certainly forward-looking, because I think this investment, you know, for us to spend $600,000 to leverage $16 million, you know, to really make the university function as it should, is really, you know, incumbent on us to be. That's a vote for the future. We don't know what sort of research is going on at the university. We don't know what ideas or companies are going to come out of that in the future. But I believe that the work that's going in there today is going to be extraordinarily beneficial for the future of the city in ways we can't even comprehend right now. But people have to get there. People have to get there. They have to get in and out. And to have all of this, you know, millions and millions of dollars of investment sort of being held hostage because you can't get over a bridge really is an unacceptable situation. And the council's been aware of this for some time. We had looked at this. Prior administrations have looked at this, but it's always been, you know, sort of a $20 million problem that no one had a solution to. And now we've got a little bit more grasp on the cost, that maybe it's not quite $20 million, and we've got a grasp on a funding source. So I admire the diligence and the creativity that's gone into this to identify the funding source, to the university for stepping up. Fresnel, I mean, they take a lot of criticism, but if this is a way to make our city work better, we should appreciate those efforts too. So I'm fully supportive of this vote, and the next one, I expect the third vote will come in due course. But this is, I think, Councilor Mercia mentioned a night for people that have been working for months and in some cases years on these projects. You don't get too many nights like this where there are, there's such optimism. I think optimism for the future, and Councilor Kennedy's right. It'll be a better night when we get the grant as opposed to when we're applying for the grant. But there's good reason to think we're in the mix here. So I appreciate everybody's efforts on this, and I'm fully supportive of moving forward tonight with this.
Thank you, Councilor. Further discussion, comments? Seeing none. Roll call. Motion has been made and seconded. Roll call.
Council Rourke.
Yes.
Council Samaras.
Yes.
Council Belanger.
Yes.
Mayor Elliott.
Yes.
Council Kennedy.
Yes.
Council Leahy.
Yes.
Council Martin.
Yes.
Council Mercia.
Yes.
Council Milonazo.
Yes.
That's 9 yeas.
9 yeas, motion passes. Moving on to the second of three parts of this proposal. This is a vote, thank you, to authorize the city manager into a purchase and sale with an L. Second reading. Motion to waive the full reading by Council Mercia, second by Council Milonazo. All those in favor signify by saying aye, and the opposed. Motion carries. The second reading by title. Commonwealth of Massachusetts, City of Lowell, in City Council is a vote authorizing the city manager to enter into a purchase and sale agreement with Boot Hydro, Inc., with the principal place of business at 1 Tech Drive, Suite 220, Andover, Mass. Owner, and NL Green Power North America, Inc., NL North America, Inc., NL, with the principal place of business at 1 Tech Drive, Suite 220, Andover, Mass. 01810. Owner, for the transfer of 8 bridges to consummate the sale of said properties.
Mr. Mayor.
Councilor Kennedy.
Move to authorize the city manager to enter the purchase and sale agreement.
Motion by Councilor Kennedy, seconded by Councilor Samaras, to proceed with this vote, to proceed into negotiations or continue negotiations to execute the B&S agreement with an L. Councilor Milonazo.
Thank you. Through you to the mayor, to Mr. Thomas. Are we confident that the January 1st, 2016 closing date works within the time frame that was outlined on this presentation? Again, talking about closing by January 1st, 2016, and if we don't, basically the agreement becomes null and void, and I'm looking at it, and the Broadway Bridge repair needs to be completed by November 1st of 2016, but I'm hoping that they're going to get to that prior to this January 1st performance date. Am I correct on that, or?
If we are moving forward with this, I'm sorry, through you, Mayor, the ANEL is committed to move forward with the project in the fall, yes, potentially prior to, but as a part of the execution of the purchase and sale agreement.
Okay, great, thank you.
All set. Thank you, Councilor. Further questions on this item? Move to approve by Councilor Mercia, seconded by Councilor Rourke. Roll call.
Council Rourke.
Yes.
Council Samaras.
Yes.
Council Belanger.
Yes.
Mayor Elliott.
Yes.
Council Kennedy.
Yes.
Council Leahy.
Yes.
Council Martin.
Yes.
Council Mercia.
Yes.
Council Milonazo.
Yes.
9 yeas.
9 yeas. This leaves us to proceed with the third item of this, which is a vote to approve the pilot program for an L. So why don't I just go right to you, Mr. Manager, and give an explanation, or do we want to entertain a motion to send this to Finance, Economic Development? What might?
Mr. Mayor.
Councilor Kennedy?
I would move that we send the pilot program to the Subcommittee on Economic Development.
Motion to approve. Motion to send Economic Development by Councilor Kennedy, seconded by Councilor Belanger. Mr. Manager, on the motion.
Yes, thank you, Mayor, through you to the rest of the council. We are still negotiating some final aspects of the pilot agreement, but like Councilor Martin said, we want to make sure that we give a complete report, a detailed report relative to the pilot, and we will have that detailed report by the subcommittee date.
Okay. Further discussion on this motion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye, and the opposed, motion carries. This payment in lieu of taxes for NL is sent to the Economic Development Subcommittee. I'm sure the chair will call a meeting as when the manager has all that paperwork in order. Moving on to the next section of the agenda, we have ordinances from the city manager. We have an ordinance to amend Chapter 56 entitled Personnel, amending 56.2 enumerated city electrician. This is the first reading. This requires a public hearing. Entertain a motion to establish a public hearing on June 23rd, 2015 at 7 p.m. by Council Leahy, seconded by Council Mercia. All those in favor signify by saying aye, and the opposed, motion carries. That motion, public hearing is set for June 23rd. That concludes ordinances from the
Mr.
city
Mayor,
manager.
is June 23rd a meeting night?
Pardon me?
June 23rd a meeting night?
Yes. Yes,
Yep.
it is.
It's a Tuesday, isn't it?
Second and fourth.
Yep. It's the
Okay.
4th.
Okay.
It's the 4th Tuesday.
Get the calendar out. We have the 9th and 23rd.
Right, okay.
All set. Moving on to, that concludes the ordinances. Moving on to resolutions from the city manager. We have a resolution in support of the Tiger Grant. Oh, you gave it to me. Motion to waive the full reading by Council Kennedy, seconded by Council Martin. All those in favor signify by saying aye, and the opposed, that motion carries. Second reading by title. Commonwealth of Massachusetts City of Lowell in City Council's a resolution. City Council of the City of Lowell wishes to be recorded in support of the efforts of the City of Lowell's application for the 2015 grant round Tiger Discretionary Grants number 8 program. Discussion on this? Move approval by Councilor Kennedy, seconded by Councilor Martin. Roll call.
Council Rourke.
Yes.
Council Samaras.
Yes.
Council Belanger.
Yes.
Mayor Elliott.
Yes.
Council Kennedy.
Yes.
Council Leahy.
Yes.
Council Martin.
Yes.
Council Mercia.
Yes.
Council Milonazo.
Yes.
9 yeas.
9 yeas. Concludes resolutions from the city manager. We'll move on to constable bonds. There's a communication from the city manager. Request approval for constable bond for Douglas E. Wiggins, Jr. Motion to approve by Council Samaras, second by Council Rourke. Roll call.
Council Rourke.
Yes.
Council Samaras.
Yes.
Council Belanger.
Yes.
Mayor Elliott.
Yes.
Council Kennedy.
Yes.
Council Leahy.
Yes.
Council Martin.
Yes.
Council Mercia.
Yes.
Council Milonazo.
Yes.
9 yeas.
9 yeas. We move on to reports from the subcommittee. We had a personnel subcommittee this evening, May 26th. Chair would like to recognize the chairman of that subcommittee, Councilor Belanger.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Personnel Subcommittee held a public hearing at 5:30 this evening, and on the agenda was authorizing the city manager to file a special legislation relative to the appointment of the non-civil service fire chief in the city of Lowell. And it was attended by the subcommittee members, as well as Councilor Leahy, Councilor Mercia, Councilor Milonazo, Councilor Rourke, City Manager Murphy, and from the fire department was Lieutenant Dave Keene, who spoke as well. But it was a great meeting, Mr. Mayor. My colleagues had some outstanding points this evening, all relative to the topic, some in support and some were not. Councilor Kennedy had done some digging and through the state come up with a few other alternatives to keep it in civil service, and they will be deliberated on the council floor when it comes down to a vote. But it was a very passionate hearing, and this council is taking it very, very seriously. We know the magnitude of this vote and how important it is, and we certainly are looking at all options, taking our time so that we get this right. There is certainly no rush. We have an interim chief in the interim, so this will be voted on in the next, I believe, on June 9th, Mr. Clerk? This will go to a vote?
If it's put on the agenda, that's the next council meeting.
Okay. Okay. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. That's all I have.
Legislation, the vote will come back under unanswered business.
Okay,
Well, yeah, and it concluded with the subcommittee voted to endorse the manager's recommendation to take the position out of civil service. It was voted unanimously, Mr. Mayor. Thank you.
thank you, Counselor. So is that the procedure, Madam Solicitor? This was put on the agenda, it was referred to the subcommittee, it's coming back with a recommendation, and is the intent to come back with the language?
Sure. So at times, there are matters that will come right out of subcommittee that are listed on the agenda, and they are ripe for vote. But we can certainly prepare a vote and bring it back formally before the council.
Mr. Manager?
Do it either way.
Well, that's fine. I have no problem with that. I've appointed an interim fire chief that I'm satisfied with the performance, so we can, that's fine.
Okay. So recommendations brought forward by the subcommittee. Motion to approve by Council Milonazo, seconded by Council O'Rourke. All those in favor signify by saying aye. In the opposed, that motion carries. Motion to accept the report as a report of progress by Councilor Mercia, seconded by Councilor Samaras. Councilor Belanger, that concludes the report? Right? All those, question on the report, Councilor O'Rourke? All those in favor of accepting the report as a report of progress and placed on file signify by saying aye. In the opposed, motion carries. On subcommittee reports, Councilor O'Rourke.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Through you, Mr. Clerk, is June 9th at 5:30 available?
I believe it is, yeah.
Public Safety Subcommittee, please. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Council. Anything further under reports? Seeing none, we'll move on to the next item. We have a wire inspector report. National Grid requests installation of 2 poles, 1 transformer, overhead conductor at 94 Canada Street. This has been on the agenda before. It was referred to the city manager to meet with the neighbors. Mr. Manager, can you report out?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor, through you to the council. You might remember when this came up is the neighbors came that evening to object. Well, our Division of Neighborhood Services, Mike Damaris, has met with the neighbors and National Grid, and they have reached a compromise, and we can proceed with this petition.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Manager. Motion to accept the report and adopt the accompanying order by Councilor Mercia. Second by Councilor Martin. All those in favor signify by saying aye. In the opposed, motion passes. That concludes reports. Moving on to petition, we have a miscellaneous petition from Kazanjian Enterprise Incorporated, Attorney George Elides petition, change of zoning at 21 West Adams Street by extending the TMF use zone. Entertain a motion to send this to the law department by Council Milonazo, seconded by Council O'Rourke, to draft an ordinance. Any discussion on this? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. In the opposed, that goes to the law department. We move on to city council motions. First motion of the evening by Council Milonazo. Request city manager report on grant funds raised for the benefit of the school department through the Greater Lowell Community Foundation. Second by Council Mercia. Council Milonazo.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Through you to the city manager. I'm understanding that the Greater Lowell Community Foundation with private funds had hired a grant writer. I also understand the grant writer is no longer at the Greater Lowell Community Foundation, but I further understand that they were successful in getting $3.1 million. That's the number that I've heard. So I'm looking for a report from you, Mr. Manager, if in fact that has happened, and what impact those grant funds have on the FY16 budget, if any. May not have any effect at all, but again, $3.1 million is not a small sum of money. And again, kudos to the Greater Lowell Community Foundation if that is the case. But again, looking to find out the dollar amount and what impact it has on the FY16 budget. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor. Further questions, discussion on this motion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. And the opposed, motion passes. Next motion of the evening by Council Belanger, request city manager inform the city council on what plans he has to promote the Hamilton Canal District. Seconded by Council Kennedy. Council Belanger.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. It's become official that as of last Wednesday, the Trinity Financial, the principal developer of the Hamilton Canal project, has informed the city that they do not want to go forward in their plans with the parcel. So I guess through you, Mr. Mayor, to the manager, now we've lost years, we've lost time, but finger pointing, in the direction will get us nowhere. So the city needs to forward think and come up with a plan B, if you will. So through you, Mr. Mayor, to the manager, Mr. Manager, how about interested developers on this site? What are you envisioning? I know on my end, I would like a couple public open forums on this of all stakeholders, of city residents, neighborhood residents and businesses to get their input for an open forum or two. But what kind of, who has been receptive to this and who's shown interest in this property, I guess, to date? And
Through you, Mayor, to the City Council. Since the announcement, I've already received a number of inquiries from proposed developers. They have scheduled interviews to come in with me relative to what their plans are. I think public input is always a good idea in any public endeavor. What I had in my mind was to come before the City Council with a proposed request for proposals that I would like to send out to solicit interest in all of the development or parcels of the development that people may be experts in. Somebody might be better at housing than they are at commercial development. But I'd like to get, we've already started working on a request for proposals, and I'd like to bring that before the City Council very shortly for your review and approval to get this development moving.
Okay, well, that brings me to my next question, Mr. Manager. Thank you. Now, seeing the skills that our Planning and Development Office has, what just was in front of us here tonight, what your administration has achieved, do we need a master developer? This parcel has already been subdivided. Do you think that's necessary? Can we handle this in-house and go at our speed and not be reliant on a master developer who may have other things going on, so to speak? What is your opinion on that?
Mr. Manager.
You, Mayor, through you to the City Council. No, we have a great division of planning and development, and we do have developers that we're working with, but I really think we need somebody who is a professional in the business that can seek out interested parties from not only the Commonwealth, but from the New England area. And I really think we need a professional involved in this, and we'll be working closely with the professionals, but I do think we need somebody, yes.
Okay, I appreciate that, but the Markley Group was landed by Planning and Development Office at the same time, and that's very impressive. But there'll be much dialogue on this, and I look forward to it. I think it's a tremendous opportunity for the city to move forward on this project, and this is a plus in one sense. So thank you very much, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Council Belanger. Further discussion on this motion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye, and the opposed, that motion carries. That concludes the business before the City Council this evening. Entertain a motion to adjourn, but, hold on.
Thank you.
Milanazzo.
Thank you. I just want to acknowledge the young man that's joined us this evening. Looks like he's a Boy Scout, probably here to maybe get his Eagle badge, and I just want to thank him for sitting through what was a very productive meeting, so thank you for being here.
Point well taken. I met that young man coming in with his mother, and his little brother was there, unless he's out running in the hallway. I don't blame him. But welcome. Could you tell me your first name again, young man? I forgot it. I am so sorry. Maybe the camera can zoom up on you. But thank you for telling me he's here to get one of his badges, Council Milanazzo, and we welcome you. Did you enjoy the meeting? Of course you did. But welcome, thank you. Point well taken. Further discussion, questions? Seeing none, entertain a motion to adjourn by Councilor O'Rourke, seconded by Councilor Samaras. All those in favor signify by saying aye. And the opposed, that motion carries. This meeting stands adjourned. Probably